Okay, so now for the news and notes of the day. I also want to make note that I'm wearing a brand new um, Black Islanders 91. For some reason, these jerseys with Tavares on the back are about quarter of the price that they were at their height. So I now have two of them. Um, Nick Ritchie has signed a 3-year deal with the Anaheim Ducks for about $1.5 million per year. 1.6 million. There's a lot more pressure on Ritchie to sign because of the fact that he's not going to make that money back if he doesn't sign quickly, right? So because he didn't have a lot of leverage and the Ducks getting off to a great start didn't help him either, he's now signed. He could be in the lineup for their next game. I thought it was worthy of note that Nechas has been sent down by the Carolina Hurricanes. I thought he played relatively well, but he wasn't getting much ice time. I think I read that he got 6 minutes of ice time in their last game. So you might as well send him to the American League and get him more ice time. Um, and now the Leafs apparently may be looking at a bridge deal for Nylander. So people wanted me to talk about the Dubas thing yesterday, and here's the deal. Dubas did not go over and make him any offers. The agent was not there. Basically, it was just to sit down with Nylander and assure him that he's part of the long-term and short-term plans for the Leafs. And Nylander is not moving off the $8 million demand that he's made per season. So bridge deal. And we've said from the beginning, bridge deal makes the most sense. And I got shouted down when I said bridge deal. They don't want bridge deal, they want long term, and he wants long term too. You don't know what you're talking about. Here's the thing, the salary cap is the thing, and the only way around this is a bridge deal. In order for the Leafs to be able to stay under the cap and pay everybody, they're going to need to go with shorter term contracts. Long term contracts are about bringing down a guy's cap hit, but you don't bring it down that much. Bridge deals with young guys, you can do that. The NHL is currently looking at goalie masks. Yeah. So concussions have been happening. We look at Matt Murray, who's coming back tonight. Corey Crawford's coming back tonight. Of course, Carey Price has had concussion issues as well. Now the NHL is looking at goalie masks as potentially being an issue with concussions. Let's go over to the right side of the board because what's interesting is these are the players currently listed as having concussions. This is not including players who are listed as having a upper body injury that we know is a concussion. These are admitted concussions from the team. Andre Kasha in Anaheim, Johnny Gaudreau in Calgary, and I will discuss that in a sec. JT Compher, who's out indefinitely. Kasha's out indefinitely as well for the Colorado Avalanche. Johan Franzen, who's unofficially retired. Jake Evans, day-to-day. Alex Foreman, day-to-day. Nikita Soshnikov's day-to-day. Oscar Sundqvist, day-to-day. And, of course, Elias Peterson is day-to-day for the Vancouver Canucks. But he's expected to be out for probably about 10 days. And Gaudreau, I want to talk about this. I've had people asking me, and Tim and Sid are asking the question whether or not the Charlie McAvoy hit on Gaudreau is a suspension or not. I don't think so, but based on the hit, I don't see it as having been particularly vicious, but if the NHL decides that the point of contact, the primary point of contact was the head, and if they decide that because there's an injury that results, that they want to send a message to Charlie McAvoy and give him a game or two, it honestly doesn't bother me. So for anybody who's waiting for, now it's a Bruin and he's going to be really angry, or he's going to be really apologetic and he's going to be saying, oh, it's not a suspension. No, they can. In today's NHL, a head injury, they're going to take a look at it. It was a penalty on the play. It was definitely interference. I can understand it being interference. And if the NHL decides to go with supplementary discipline on it, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's more cut and dried that, yeah, it was a penalty. And again, it's up to the NHL what they do with it. Goalies are being pulled early in games. So something we started seeing now is that a team that's down by 1 goal or 2 goals, when they have the puck in the other end with 4 minutes left, they've started pulling the goalie. Maybe 5 or 6 minutes, and there's a reason. Advanced stats guys have been coming out and telling teams, pull the goalies earlier. Pulling them with 1 minute left, you have very little chance of scoring a tying goal. You have a better chance if you pull the goalie earlier. And I think part of where it works, and I've seen it work a couple of times, I've seen it backfire as well. Let's be honest, it does backfire. But where it does work is I think you're leaving the other team wondering when it's going to happen. So they may not be expecting it. They may not have planned out for it. They may not have 5 guys on the ice that they're happy with seeing in a penalty killing situation. So it's a smart move on their part. And I'll also throw in here that we've been seeing goalies getting shelled for a bunch of goals and not getting pulled. This, of course, is different than past eras, but I think part of that may be the same thing. It may be advanced stats looking and going, you know what? Just leave them in because you're not going to come back and win it anyways. Leave your goaltending rotation the way that it is. Don't change it based on the score of the game. Just let your backup rest or let your starter rest. That game is lost. And just make sure that the goalie that's playing understands he's not going to get a reprieve or get a hook. That's the way I see it anyways, is that they're just saying, you know what, the game's lost. We'll go ahead and worry about it next game. Interesting note, Providence has signed Jan Kovar to a tryout. Kovar was signed to a 1 year, $2 million deal by the Islanders. Lou Lamoriello thinking, all right, maybe I've found a steal in Europe. He didn't make the Islanders, and he said, I'm not reporting to Bridgeport. So he refuses to report to Bridgeport, and the Islanders waived him and bought him out. Said, yeah, all right, fine. You're not going to report to Bridgeport. We're done with you. He now has a tryout in Providence. And in 2 or 3 weeks' time, they're going to look at what his NHL options might be. Providence, of course, being the Bruins farm team. That's why I've got a Bruins logo up there. But he's not a Bruin. He's not a Boston Bruin. He's a Providence Bruin, while they try to figure out whether or not there's an NHL fit there. At least, unlike Shipachev last year, they're saying, okay, we're going to go down. We're going to try it in the American League. We're going to show that he is or isn't capable of playing in the NHL. And then we're going to go from there. Whereas Shipachev just ended up going home. It's a different situation. It's a different player. I'm just using that, just pointing that out. And Ryan Callahan may be in the lineup tonight for Tampa. This would be his first appearance of the season. And that would be good news for Callahan and for Tampa, who at 3-1 can always use a decent bottom six forward, and Callahan is that. So there you go. Just some news and notes for today. Let me know what you guys think, and if they're going to look at goalie mess for concussions. I will say this. They're looking at a rising concussions. I'm wondering if they're going to slip in there the fact that goalies are getting more banged up from the shrunken chest protector, and if they're going to look at maybe undoing what they did with the chest protectors sooner rather than later. Because right now it's just bumps and bruises, but at some point we're going to be looking at, I would think, a broken collarbone. But you guys can let me know what you think about that one too. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. Just tap it upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.